Step into the wonderfully weird world of artisan cheese. Prepare to have your mind completely blown by these bizarre, unbelievable dairy imposters. These are cheeses that look fake, but they are actually real. Black lemon cheese. If you casually walked past an artisanal deli counter and spotted what appears to be a heavy lump of charcoal next to the brie, you would be forgiven for thinking someone was playing a practical joke. It absorbs light, looking stark, gritty, and completely inedible, like a novelty bath bomb or campfire rock. However, this dark mysterious block is black lemon cheese, a brilliant masterclass in culinary deception. Despite its gothic, artificial appearance, it's a remarkably refreshing, citrus-infused Gouda. The shocking black hue does not come from toxic dyes, but from a generous dose of activated charcoal, an ingredient that completely tricks your brain. When you build up the courage to take a knife to it, it slices beautifully, revealing a smooth texture that contradicts its harsh exterior. The moment you place a piece on your tongue, the confusion deepens. Instead of tasting like smoke, your palate is flooded with a bright, zesty lemon flavor balanced by the rich undertones of Dutch cow's milk. Serving this to unsuspecting friends guarantees sheer bewilderment as they try to process why you are offering them asphalt for dessert. The striking visual contrast when you place a raven-colored slice atop a pale, simple water cracker is half the fun. It looks incredibly avant-garde, turning a casual afternoon snack into a provocative modern art piece right on your plate. Red Windsor. From a cheese that belongs in a fireplace, we move to a delicacy that looks like it belongs in a butcher's display window. You gaze upon what appears to be a perfectly marbled slab of Wagyu beef or a generous slice of premium Italian salami. The intricate pink and deep ruby red veins winding through a pale, creamy background scream carnivore to anyone looking at it. Yet, this magnificent meaty illusion is entirely vegetarian. This is Red Windsor, a traditional English cheddar that plays a brilliant visual trick on diners. The secret lies in a very specific cheese-making process. The cheddar curds are allowed to settle, but just before they are pressed tightly into their final shape, they are drenched in Bordeaux wine or a sweet blend of port and brandy. The dark liquid seeps into the microscopic crevices between the curds, permanently staining them with beautiful bloody streaks. When you slice into the wheel, the trickery stops the exact moment the cheese hits your palate. Instead of the savory umami of cured meat, you are greeted with the sharp tang of a mature English cheddar, followed by a subtle, fruity sweetness. You are chewing what looks like raw beef, but your taste buds are throwing a delightful dairy party. The experience is almost theatrical, forcing your brain to rapidly rewire its expectations midway through the first bite. Pair it with a robust glass of the very wine that stains it, and the deception becomes a truly harmonious culinary triumph. Bell pepper canola. While Red Windsor masquerades as a luxury meat, our next subject takes a rugged disguise, looking exactly like something you might dig up while gardening. If you kick this cheese on a dirt path, you would probably think it was a misshapen stone. Presented on a fancy plate, you might mistake it for a slightly fossilized black truffle. Small, incredibly heavy, and coated in a thick layer of dark brown dust, this is the bell pepper cannoli, a Swiss creation that completely redefines dairy aesthetics. The story of this peculiar sphere begins with raw cow's milk in the town of Belp. Cheesemakers mix the soft curds with Himalayan salt and pungent garlic. Then, they form little balls by hand and roll them vigorously in a punishing coating of brown black pepper. This pepper acts as a protective shield, giving the cheese its meteorite-like appearance. As it sits in the underground aging room for months, it loses its moisture and transforms into a rock-hard sphere. You cannot slice it with a normal knife. You must treat it like a precious truffle. Shaving it aggressively over fresh pasta releases an intense aroma of garlic, aged cheese, and spicy pepper, proving you should never judge a dusty rock by its cover. The sheer theatricality of grating this rugged orb at the dinner table never fails to spark a lively conversation. It is a brilliant reminder that the most rustic, unpolished exteriors often fiercely guard the most sophisticated, mouth-watering treasures hidden within. Blue Stilton. Leaving behind the hard terrain of the Swiss Alps, we turn to a classic English staple that embraces a much more vibrant, alien-like deception. Let's be honest, if you didn't already know what blue cheese was, you would never willingly put it in your mouth. You're looking at a pale yellow cylinder violently infected with fuzzy blue-green veins. It looks exactly like a forgotten science experiment languishing in a damp university basement. It looks dangerous and utterly fake, as if someone injected neon blue ink directly into the dairy. Yet, this is Blue Stilton, often respectfully referred to as the king of English cheeses. The fascinating, slightly macabre process involves inserting thick stainless steel needles to pierce the crust of the young cheese. This allows fresh oxygen to rush into the dark core, waking up the dormant Penicillium roqueforti mold spores. As the newly awakened mold breathes, it grows rapidly outward, creating stunning lightning bolt patterns. The visual is stark and dramatic. However, once you overcome the psychological barrier of intentionally eating fuzzy mold, the reward is extraordinary. The texture is surprisingly buttery, while the flavor starts mellow before hitting you with a sharp, deeply earthy kick from the blue veins. Letting a piece slowly melt on your tongue unveils an intoxicating richness that pairs miraculously with a sweet dark honey. This contrast between the bizarre, almost threatening visual and the profoundly luxurious taste is what makes the experience unforgettable. Mimolette. From the damp cellars of England, we travel to France for a cheese that takes the shape of a perfectly round piece of fruit, or perhaps a medieval weapon. Picture a bright cantaloupe melon sitting peacefully on a rustic wooden table. Now, imagine picking it up and realizing it is as heavy and unyielding as an iron cannonball. The rind is not the smooth skin of a fruit, but a deeply cratered gray landscape resembling the dusty surface of the moon. Split it open with a heavy cleaver, and the interior reveals a shocking shade of electric orange. This is Mimolette, a cheese so visually bizarre it looks entirely manufactured. The intense orange paste is completely real, derived from a natural plant extract called annatto. But the truly unbelievable part of Mimolette's appearance is its pockmarked rind. Millions of microscopic cheese mites create that lunar landscape. Cheesemakers intentionally introduce these tiny bugs to the aging room. The mites spend months munching away at the tough rind, which naturally aerates the cheese. As they eat, they leave behind tiny craters and a fine gray dust. When you bite into a properly aged piece of Mimolette, it breaks apart with a highly satisfying crunch, tasting intensely of toasted hazelnuts and sweet caramel, entirely devoid of the weirdness its exterior suggests. The lingering butterscotch notes are an absolute delight, leaving a remarkably warm, lingering finish on the palate. Despite its comical, Halloween-like coloring and downright extraterrestrial origins, it stands proudly as a phenomenally sophisticated masterpiece of traditional French culinary craftsmanship. So, the next time you build a charcuterie board, skip the ordinary, embrace the strange and deceptive, because the weirdest cheeses usually hold the tastiest secrets. Would you actually buy one of these, or turn your head if you've seen it in a deli? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button.